Today marks 1700, 12th day of day lessons, day reflections. And today will be very simple day, very simple day because I want you to really focus on life in general. An interesting thing that every single person could have potentially different definitions of the same thing. Success, like how you define success, will dictate what kind of actions you take, what kind of definitions you put on life. That will dictate exactly how you live. So today I will want to make a day of definitions of life, what life truly means by definition. And of course, those definitions will be very, very short definitions because it could be a very long definition. But today, I really focus on like, what really matters and what really definitions could really include, life definitions, what could include in in that. So today we'll share 7 definitions what life truly is. So number one is that life is existence with awareness and experience. Awareness and experience. It's interesting because if you have experience but you have no awareness, you will miss that. But if you have awareness but you don't have experience, what do you have to what kind of awareness do you need because you don't experience anything? So that means there's awareness just of being of nothingness. But I think that in life it's always extremely important to really focus on both. That means you want to make sure that we experience, we do some kind of courageous things to really make sure that we do are adventurous, expose ourselves to different things, so we can really build awareness. Because without exposure, without experience, it's very very hard to really build true awareness. Because when you think about awareness about yourself, who you truly are, it's very hard to know yourself without really experiencing yourself. So that means if you really want to know other person, you really want to see how they react, to how they communicate in different situations. And I think that's exactly how we need to put ourselves as well in different experiences. So make sure that we build awareness. And that is again part of what true life means. Life is about experiencing and awareness. Number two, life is the time between birth and death. Life is a time between birth and death. And every single person has different time. Some people have very short, some have very long. But what matters is like not how long you have, but really what do you put within that period of, because you can learn, you can suffer, you can grow, you can improve, you can go pursue fulfillment, truth. And it's interesting that thing that I think that knowing that there is that the ending, it builds massive urgency. And this life what it is. Life is all about birth and death. Maybe for some people it might sad and it create like what's the purpose of all of it? But I think that's a beautiful thing because now I'll be able to really say like I'm have an urgency to do the right thing right now, non-negotiable, rather than waiting for the next 10 years, doing right now. And that's is like that is what life it is. Between time between birth and death. Number three, life is a journey of meaning. It's interesting things because sometimes when you look into life, meaning brings so much emotions, positive emotions. You can go through the hardest times of life, but when you have meaning, it is worth it. It is worth it. And I think that's a beautiful thing when you think about life. Life's supposed to be all about meaning. What is the meaning of all of this? And then I think that when you really have ability to really focus on the things that is non-negotiables, your dedication, your commitment, your aspirations, and I think that of course is a beautiful thing when when different people have differently the same word, but so that it's not what you expect from God, but but God expects from you, or what is not life what you expect from life, but what life expects from you. Not what you expect from other people, but what other people expect of you. And I think that's where the true meaning lies. When you understand it's not just about you, and then you're able to find meaning. Number four, life is relationships. And that cannot be more true. Love is the relationship. It's at the beginning. When you look into the mirror, there is a relationship with yourself. That is the core relationship. And when you have that core relationship under control, it's much easier to really spread out and have relations in all areas. That means relations at business, at work, at relations at home, relations with friendships. There are so many different relations we need to able that we need, we can, we must develop, because that's again part of the connections is of meaning. The more connections, relations with true relations, deep relations, nurture relations we have, the easier it is to really transform yourself in a better human being. Not just because of meaning, but because you're able to receive support. And I think that we need to really nurture those relations, because when you nurture relations, then you're able to really develop life in a different way. Because relations is one thing that really exposes you and puts lights on things that it needs to be developed. Because sometimes we can really have blind spots, and friendships, relations are able to really help to see them. Number 5, life is continual change. It's impossible to slow down or say stop the flow. There's no flow. Is every river goes to somewhere. There is just wind goes, clouds go by, people come and go. There's always a flow. There's always a flow. There is impossible to stop it. And I think that's knowing that by default everything is changing. We need to always ask ourselves, okay, so if life continually moving and changing, am I continually choosing to change as well? Because we might stay the same, even though the world changes. And this is a thing that we need to really understand, because there's like a lot of adaptation, growth, loss, transformation. And I think that when this beautiful thing, when you really start to look into how I could really live a life by design, so I could create my flow, and then life could grow and change and move, and I could grow and change and move. And when I think of when those two combine, then the overnight success truly happens. Number 6, life is action and choice. It's interesting because decisions you make is extremely important, but what is more important is when you make the decision, what kind of actions follow that decision? Because sometimes it's very, very, very fulfilling. Maybe it's not the best word, but like it's very, very good feeling to make a decision that is you think that is right. But now, what is more important is follow it through on that decision. And again, when you think about life, action, and choice, and that's extremely important. Without decision, there will be no actions. Without actions, that decision doesn't matter. Again, this is a back and forth between those two, because it's extremely important to make a decision and then follow through on the decision. Because when you really start taking actions on those choices, that means that you will receive consequence or rewards because of that. If you don't take action, you get consequences. If you take action, you get rewards. Maybe not rewards, maybe results. But those results will give you some kind of data, information, what you need to do differently, or potentially do what you're doing right now. And last one, number 7, is that life is a gift and responsibility. Life is, there's so much value in life. And again, we'll be able to ask you, if there is so much value in life, what kind of value do I bring? Do I bring responsibility? Do I bring love? Do I bring kindness and wisdom? Or do I bring negativity? And every single person will need to make a choice. What kind of value do I bring? And I think it's a beautiful thing to really you sort of start asking question every single day. How I could add more value to people? How could I add more service to other people? And it's interesting. That is a great realization for myself as well. That I used to ask the question all the time: how I could add more value? How could I add more value? And this year, because of course this year was hard and then didn't regular year, I was asking that question less. And I think that that's the part is that even though that sometimes we can go through hard days, we're still able to ask, okay, how I could really serve other people. And I think it's now I realize that I need to really do that even more by myself. Because life is becoming much more beautiful when really reading a book and know that you read that book not just for yourself, but really that as a responsibility to use that gift of the mind, of conscious, and know that you will be able to really share that lesson with someone else. And I think that's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. So probably just reflect as well, what is definition of life for you? And what, because there's a lot of great things in life. And I think that such a broad thing, but then again, we able always focus on non-negotiables. What are the non-negotiables? What are such major things? Because I think that is a beautiful thing when we say that, okay, I don't want to major on minor things. I want to major on major things. So that means I really start to really develop and grow into the major areas of our lives. What really truly matters, rather than focusing on things that is barely any value. So I hope you choose to win and see you tomorrow.